My name is Sara Osborne, and this is Franklin Boulevard Media. I grew up in Roanoke, Virginia. We moved here in 1999. A little bit of a backstory. When I was early teens, my mom experienced some random benign lumps. So at an early age, I learned how to do a proper breast exam. Fortunately for her, they were all benign, but it was actually right around Christmas of 2015 doing a breast exam. Thought I felt something right around my cycle, so I said, let me just give it a couple weeks and just see, and a couple weeks later, still felt it. Went to my primary care, mentioned it, was scheduled to get a mammogram, and instead of getting the mammogram, they went ahead and referred me, because typically a mammogram isn't for when you think you feel something, it's to see if you detect anything, if that makes sense. So I had already felt something that shouldn't be there in my left breast. So that was January 2016. Went to the breast center in Charlotte. They did a biopsy, they did the ultrasound, they also did a mammogram on a Tuesday, and that Friday went ahead and made an appointment to come back, and that's when they told us it was stage 2A breast cancer. I prayed about it, prayed hard about it. I've got, my mother was a 17-year brain cancer survivor. She was kind of a medical miracle, really. My daddy is a survivor from prostate cancer, and unfortunately I have cancer in common with a lot of people. You know, it's something you don't want to have in common with somebody, but I can't explain it other than I anticipated what they were going to tell me. I anticipated, but I had peace about it. I had peace about it, and they told us what stage it was, what level they anticipated it being, kind of for 2 hours talking with the nurse navigator what to expect, what next steps were going to be, and you kind of go numb, quite honestly. You go numb, because even though I anticipated it, I didn't know how to process it. I didn't know. All I could think about was everything my mama went through, because I was a freshman in college when she got sick, and she was back home. And so, you know, there aren't good thoughts, there aren't good feelings when you think about cancer and cancer treatments and chemo and radiation and surgery. But quite honestly, the way my mama took the bull by the horns, and she inspired how I needed to approach it. Kids were 8th, 6th, and 3rd grades. I had and still have a lot of living to do, and I just said, all right, what do we need to do to kick this thing in the tail and go forward? So met with genetic specialists, met with surgeons, plastic surgeons. I think I had 10 doctor's visits with specialists in 3 weeks. What do we need to do? How does it need to happen? What are my options? So was it a lumpectomy in the one breast? Was it a single mastectomy for the one breast? Was it double mastectomy? So the way I have to process things, especially with a big challenge like this, what's the pros and cons for each option? What does that look like? What do I have to do? What's expected of me? And so met with everybody, had my chart, talked to my husband, talked to my daddy, because my mom had she passed in 2008. Talked to him, talked to my pastor, prayed with all of them, and just said, you know, what is going to be the best decision for me and my mental health long term? Because I know enough about myself. I'm high strung. I'm in the nonprofit world. I get all wound up planning fundraisers and things and worry about this, that, and the other. And I knew enough about myself that if I just did a lumpectomy or a single mastectomy, and I had a twinge, or I felt something on the right side, I knew where that would take my mind. And young family, early 40s, I didn't have time for this. I needed to just go. I needed to fix it. I'd be done with it. So talked to my surgeon. We elected a double mastectomy with reconstruction. And once the surgeons were in there, they were able to test the lymph nodes. The first section or cluster of lymph nodes, the cancer had gotten to that. So they were able to positively figure that out, take those out. They could only test the next group or the next cluster, and they were negative. So we knew we had gotten all of that. So started with the reconstruction with the expanders, and once we found out it had gotten to the first cluster of lymph nodes, we knew we were going to have to do chemo. And I remember talking to my medical oncologist, and she was wonderful, but she didn't know how to take my off-color humor, I guess, because she said, we need to do chemotherapy. And again, went straight back to my memories of my mama going through it and how bad it was for her. Not good memories. And I just said, well, I don't like that one bit. And she didn't know what to say. She didn't know what to do. I said, now I agree with you, but I don't have to like it. And that's just, that was kind of the approach that we took. Let's be aggressive as we can, whatever we need to do, so we don't have to do this anymore. So I went through 4 months of chemotherapy. My husband went with me each time in Charlotte. And it was a day-long affair. You get there, you have blood work to make sure that your white blood cells and your red blood cells and your hemoglobin and all of these things that you don't even think about on a given day, that they're at a level that can accept the chemotherapy. Because basically chemo is poison to kill the cancer cells. So we go through this, we do everything. We used to joke about the recliners that were in there, because they were not Lazy Boy recliners. They were pleather, plastic, something, and but we called it Chemo Bay, because there was you develop these unorthodox friendships with people who are cancer patients, who are cancer survivors and warriors, but you're all there for this nasty reason of getting this poison in your body to try to make you feel better. We'd be there, and every time we'd come home, it was stopping by Chick-fil-A. I was like, if I don't want to be somewhere all day long, I do want to get Chick-fil-A on the way home. So it was these little things that we looked forward to. After my second treatment, my hair started falling out, and I'll be honest with you. There's certain things about a woman, your breasts are your femininity. Most of us are hair, whether it's short style, long style. I honestly don't know what my natural color is anymore, but but when my hair, there's nothing you can prepare yourself for that, especially as a woman. You just can't, it's coming. I could tell it was happening, and I didn't brush my hair for 3 days. It was just avoiding the inevitable. I didn't, once I knew it was coming out, I had already been referred to a local nonprofit called The Woman in Pink, and Kim was amazing. I went in, made an appointment right away, because I wanted to have a wig on standby. I didn't want to be bald and then go looking for a wig. I wanted to have that just in case. She fitted me perfectly. She was absolutely wonderful. So I had that already in play. But that was, like I said, you can't prepare yourself for any of this, but you can't prepare yourself for losing your hair when you're not choosing to. basically. So, you know, I told my husband on a Sunday, it was after church actually, and we came back and I said, okay, it's coming out in clumps. I need you to shave it. I couldn't do it myself. I was scared to death to do it. And, you know, men are stoic. They're supportive, but they're stoic. And, you know, trying to be strong for me through this, and I'm trying to be strong for him, and we're both putting up barriers and boundaries. And we talked about it a little bit later, and he said that was one of the hardest things he's ever had to do, because he knew why he had to do it. But once he saw I was at peace with it, he was good to go. So I, again, with my off-color humor, I've told folks, you know, being bald in a North Carolina summer, there's God's humor right there, you know. Because I am hot-natured anyway, and I got really cute monogrammed hats, so my caps became an accessory. And you know, I had wigs when I had to wear them, but you know, that was one of the things, because cancer cells are going to attack the fastest growing cells, and that's your hair, that's your skin. Another good thing, I think I shaved my legs twice that summer. I mean, just things, trying to find the humor in some of this, because if you don't, you will not be in a good place. You will not be in a good place. So chemo, that whole summer, I was done in July. Ringing the bell was very liberating. One of my best friends, gosh, from 7th grade, we're still great friends. She came to the hospital that I'm out of my surgery and brought me pink Everlast boxing gloves. So those were kind of my signature item. I took them to every chemo. I took them to every surgery. They were kind of like a security blanket, and kind of like, you're not gonna mess with me. You know, this is part of my armor. I had a really unique opportunity to be featured in a Gazette article. Did a photo shoot with one of my friends who lived here at the time, and she had a photography company, and we went to an actual boxing ring in Charlotte. And so it was with the boxing gloves and different kind of props, and some with my wig on. And the most powerful one that I still post is no wig but makeup and boxing gloves, and it's just the boxing gloves and my head. And you know, it's just it's warrior. It's bring it on, and you're going down, and you know, it's just but you know, I tried a lot of the times to stay that way, especially for my kids and my husband. And work was, I dove into my job, you know, that I had control of, you know. But chemo day was fine. It was just long. That was Wednesdays, Thursdays, in work and doing great. Thursday night it hit. So I knew Friday was going to be bad. Saturday got a little better. Sunday got a little better. Back at work Monday. So that's kind of the way it was for 4 months. And you do because you have to. You just do. And you know, a lot of people say, how did you do it? You're on autopilot. You know, you just, what do you have to do? And there were days that when I felt horrible, you know, I'd reach out to friends or my pastor or family, my girlfriends, and just say, hey, I need some uplifting. I'm feeling rotten today. Whether I was physically feeling bad, or I was thinking too much about the what ifs, about you know, everything that I had gone through up to that point. And everybody that I reached out to, What they sent was appropriate. Having those delicate conversations with my kids. Not so hard with my husband, but with my kids, because they're little. Our oldest has Down syndrome, and making sure he understood on his level this was serious, but we're going to get through it. I think he had the hardest time when I lost my hair, because that's what he associated with being sick, was losing your hair. Everybody loved to rub my bald head, but not him. He had a hard time with it. But I learned, one of my friends told me, I would reach out because I felt bad and needed reassurance, and then I'd feel bad for feeling bad, if that makes sense. You feel guilty, because I'm still alive, I'm still beating this, but there's still so much of the unknown. And one of my friends told me, look, you earned a pity party. You are only human. You feel emotion. You earned a pity party. So whether it's an hour or a day, take it. Feel bad. You earned feeling bad. Just don't unpack your bags and stay there. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned, grew from, whatever you want to say, that we try so hard, no matter what the challenge is, we try so hard to be strong for ourselves, to be strong for other people, that we put up a barrier to those challenging, weak moments when we don't give ourselves permission to do that. I have learned to give myself permission, but I needed somebody else to tell me it was okay to do that. As silly as that sounds, I needed to hear, as long as you don't waller around and you're not in self-pity and woe is me, you pull your bootstraps up and you go the next day. So giving myself permission, even to this day, 6 years later, whatever the challenge is, if it's an off day, if it's news you didn't want to hear, if it's some kind of struggle or challenge, give yourself an hour. Give yourself that, because if you don't, you're going to tear yourself down. And there's a lot of living you have to do. I mean, my kids are, like I said, 21, 18, and 16 now. The oldest two are in college. I'm turning 50 next month. So, yeah, I got a lot of living to do. And, not saying that at all that I enjoyed going through this journey, but sometimes it takes something truly significant, defining moments, whatever you want to call it, to open your eyes to certain things. You think you have a grasp on whatever it is, but then, we learn through our challenges, basically, and it provides clarity that you kind of need a lot of the times. Not necessarily the way you find it, but people that I have met, doctors, nurses, surgeons, friends that I didn't even know prior to my diagnosis that had gone through some sort of cancer. You create kind of like a brother sisterhood, A colleague of mine had gone through breast cancer, a different level that I never knew. And she became my go-to person. She became my go-to person before I made it public. I kind of had to process it a little bit. I had to wrap my own mind around it before I became my spokesperson, right? My having to tell my daddy, having to tell my kids, my in-laws, that was really tough. That will challenge your character big time. but the sense of growth that you experience, I don't know, it's unparalleled. And I have had three friends since I have been diagnosed. They've been diagnosed, and to be their sounding board, to be in their support network and their circle. Again, although I didn't want that to be the thing we have in common outside of friendship and working and relationships and whatnot, I can identify with the goods and the bads. I can say this is what worked for me. I can just be that support, and offer whatever I can through encouragement and love and anger and everything else. I don't tell people I know what they're going through, because I don't. Dynamics are different, circumstances are different, there's so much, but I can identify with their emotions. I can validate a lot of what their experiences are, and quite honestly, that is the saving grace. That right there, being able to say, you're not going through this alone, and let me tell you why. So it's I continue to be cancer free after 6 years. As a matter of fact, last week was the 6-year anniversary of ringing the bell for radiation. So from surgery, chemo, to implant, where they did the reconstruction, to radiation, that was pretty much 10 out of the 12 months of 2016. If I were talking to someone who was just diagnosed with cancer, the first thing I would tell them would be to breathe, to think about the day before that news came through, what was going good, to do their very best to really to breathe, because when something like that happens, time stands still. We hold our breath. It's the unknown, but we know enough to be absolutely terrified. I actually can share with you that one of my very dear friends found out in November that she had breast cancer. It was early stage, but it was multi-level, so to speak. And she reached out and she said, I've got some unfortunate news. And the first thing I did was, that's exactly what I told her. I said, breathe. I said, do you need me to come over? Having a support network, it's not people, not that you interview somebody for it, but people think, what I had to do is tell her or ask her. She said, what do I do? Who do I talk to? I said, you're running into brick walls right now. Stop for a second. Who is there for you no matter what? Who are the people who drop everything whenever you need help? Those are the people that you need in your network. Those are the ones that are there no matter what. You don't have to be penciled in. You don't have to schedule time with them. Those are people who, it's second nature, who you need. So it's important to have those. It's important to ask questions. I have no doubt that my doctors were a kind of a catch-22. We had a great relationship, but I'm going to ask questions. If I don't know, I'm not going to worry myself about something if I don't have the full answer about it. I need to know, because I'm the one that's going through it. You've got your friends, your family, your colleagues. It's amazing when something like this happens, the amount of people that you find out who you're important to. I had people stocking our pantry, meal train for over 2 months every other day. I was probably one of the few people on chemo who gained weight. I lost my hair, but I put on the pounds. I was healthy. People through my work, people through my husband's work, pulling money together, helping with medical stuff, offering to take the kids here, there, and everywhere. It's just, they're there, but man, when something like this happens, they're on your doorstep. Those are the people you need. Those are the people you need to reach out to. Even though the cancer patient is going through the surgery, they're physically going through everything, your family and friends, they're on the sidelines. But they're going through it as well. It's just on a different level. They're experiencing, they want to be there, but there's only so much they can do. They feel helpless because they can't fix it. We're fixers by nature. We want to make things better. We want to fix it. So they go through it on a different level too. I'm a huge proponent of obviously early detection, because quite honestly, if I hadn't known how to do a proper breast exam, even though I learned when I was 12 because of what my mom was going through, who knows when I would have found it. It's something, that I honestly don't know. It's talked about, but I don't know if a lot of women really know how to do it. Do they really know what they're feeling for, what they're looking for? Because a lot of the times it's, out of sight, out of mind. If I don't see it, I couldn't see mine. I felt mine. But early detection definitely made a huge impact on this journey for me. And again, it's, even if you suspect it, it's not going anywhere. You gotta face it head on. And not everybody can have that approach. But it was kind of like a deal I made with myself. I'm the only one that can do something about this. I have to go through it, but I know it's going to be worth it. And here I am 6 years later. Now, there are some people who don't have the same outcome. And, we try with all the medical advances to get rid of this awful disease. I saw something actually on Facebook within this last week, and it was a page that I follow that's about breast cancer survivors. It's something about something pink. And, it said, are you a survivor? List the cancer and how long and whatever. And I was able to put stage 2A breast cancer, 6 years. There were people on that feed, 15, 20, 25, multiple cancers. The human spirit is a powerful thing. It is a powerful thing. And, whether folks are spiritual, whether they're prayerful, whatever it is, the will to live, it's a phenom. It is a phenom. And like I said, I had friends and family and my husband and my kids, and there was the option to give up was not even there. It's pretty much, I am the storm. It was 2 weeks before surgery. We had just talked to the kids. And it was time for me to kind of tell. And I was looking through I love finding inspirational sayings or powerful memes or things like that. And I found this one, and there was nothing special to it except the wording. It was, just it was a blank background, and it had script words, and it said, the devil said, you cannot withstand the storm. And the response was, I said, but I am the storm. And so that, if I ever did something, it was hashtag I am the storm. And the more I thought about it, I thought, well, not only is that very inspiring and encouraging about strength and warrior and those kind of things, but the more I thought about it, the more it defined my attitude. You know, say what you want to say. I'm coming. I'm coming whether you are ready or not. I'm coming to whoop your tail, and here we go. Different things that I carried with me. And, you know, it's going to be different for different people. And some people thought I love stuff like that. It speaks to me. Lyrics to a song, or, you know, it's just, or you know, the message that Pastor Dickey delivers. I'm like, oh, he was talking to me. I knew he was just talking, you know, those kind of things I am very in tune with. So whatever it is, whatever works for you, hold on to it and hold on tight and carry it with you. And like I said, everywhere I went, I took those pink boxing gloves with me. I had people autograph them. All my friends, my family, everybody autographed my gloves. Took them everywhere. Took them especially. I almost knocked the bell off the wall when I rang it for radiation, because I couldn't grab. I had my gloves on and I couldn't grab the bell part, and so I just whacked it and almost hit it off. But you know, it's but yeah, as far as that, I Am the Storm and Fifth Minute were kind of my slogans, my taglines, if you will, because it was about strength and encouragement and that warrior mentality and armor. And that's, you know, you need it. You need it to fight those battles. But at the same time, it's okay to take that armor off and let others do for you. Let your heart heal. Let your mind heal. Let your hair down, whatever it is. You know, we don't always have to be hard. We need to have those soft moments too. So, yeah.